Hey guys. Hey Mike. Chirpy, g'day. David Ian Sykes, g'day. Craig, hello. Hope you're okay, Craig. Bill, g'day. Mark Osborne, hello. Frank Ward, good to see you. Paul Pippertone, good morning. Machine NZ, hello. It's nearly midnight over there. Thanks for staying up. Maddie's trolley looks good. It's going to be awesome, like everything he makes. Team Biscuits, good morning. James P. Hello. Rust Knox, hello. Oh, I had trouble staying awake tonight. I don't know. Looking back, this COVID thing's really knocked me about. But I sort of got home, had a big day at work, and I got home and I'm like, seriously, I want to go to bed. It's a bit terrible. So anyway, I made it through. Journeyman Randy, g'day. Dan Shed, hello. Hi, new people, if there's new people. May have missed the new people. Maybe you're just new people since Craig turned up. Craig's been absent for a bit. Is that a metric file? Which file's that? Probably. That's an AR file. These are a pretty useful thing, right? Emery boards, if you can get, and you can't always, they're getting expensive. These cardboard ones, not so good, but the foam back, like the square foam ones are excellent. I just opened this pack because I had to do some jobs with them. But use them at work for polishing all sorts of metal all the time, and they're really good if you don't want to take a lot of metal off and you want to repair a surface. Right, everything's getting expensive. Bit of a win. Cable ties, which I haven't opened yet. We're going to open these and have a look at them. I guess everyone else has Aldi. Aldi Australia have these at the moment for $6.95, which is probably excellent because my 10-minute home lag. Sorry about that. We'll just switch this around here like this, something like that. Now you're all easy. What we got? Don't know if they're much good, but they're probably all right for tying up cables. There's some big ones, some shorter ones, and a couple of sizes of smaller ones, and a couple of sizes of smaller ones again. I've spent that much on about half that many of those. Don't know how good they are, but I mean they're cable ties. How can you go wrong? $6.95 at Aldi. So that's today's buy. We'll let you know if they're crap. Oh yeah, there's no Aldi in Tasmania, I forgot. because it would drive property prices up if there was. The other, there's a very, very good chance that these won't all go back in this bag. They might. Yeah, not a hope of going back in that bag. I'll have to have another go at that. Anyway, bought some cable ties because I always need them. DJ, g'day, good to see you. What's up with the like button? Thanks, Kimbazalik. Kevin's still wondering what the brass thing is. They're not going to. Well, look, just to stop the trouble, you know, and people worrying about this, because I don't like people to worry about things. Fix that problem. What else has happened this weekend? Oh, Frank, that's excellent. You're feeling a bit better. This is a fun project that that everyone really needs. I can see one in your future, DJ. Absolutely, but we'll get it a little bit further down the track, and someone will guess, and then I'll just reveal it all. Got tools here everywhere. Apologies for that. Yeah, probably brass thing held together with cable ties. What I'm sort of wondering about, the way it's going to work is that someone's going to guess something that's pretty cool, and I'm just going to make that. But until we're finished, until that happens, I'm just going to pretend I don't know what it is. I haven't got a clue. When someone guesses something pretty cool that sounds like it's feasible, we'll just make that. It's 8mm tap. And a 4mm bolt, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6. I think these are probably metric files. They're Swiss. They'd have you believe they're neutral. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But yeah, nice set of files. There's one missing. Wonder where that is. We'll find it. Hey Brendan, good to see you. Welcome back. Hope you had an awesome holiday. If you see these on Marketplace or any toolmaker's tools that look half decent, go and have a look and see what you can find. Buying these sort of tools new is crazy, and probably you can make these with a decent grinder, but you'd have to be pretty good. This is a tungsten carbide Reamer, 5mm one. It's pretty nice. I've got quite a few Reamers that I picked up from a toolmaker who was changing careers. back when I was rich and stuff. Spent some money. But these are decent reamers, and they're all toleranced. So this one will be, what's written on here, 5mm, and it's got an H something anyway. So that'll give you some idea of the fit. Just buying a reamer that's on size and might or might not be on size out of China is not a particularly satisfying thing. But kind of like them. I've got quite a range, and common sizes I've got all sorts of stuff. And then you find that you end up with uncommon sizes as well. Like I was looking through the box and I've got a 6.75mm reamer. No idea why. I've got a 1.52. It's oversized. It's kind of nice, I guess, but make a D-bit reamer. That's a really good option with which is probably nearly as expensive too. There's a bit of split carbide. There's no clearance on it, but it cut a fairly nice neat hole, just split like that. And there's not much to that. You just got to get it down the middle. And with a D-bit grinder, that's pretty simple. But even out, it's not a huge big deal. But that'll cut on size beautifully. If you wanted to, you could put a bit of clearance on the front. This way, it'll cut nice. And if you're really keen, you could put a bit of clearance underneath. But then you get deflection and stuff, so that'll cut nice. Chirpy's right. Got a lot of really nice cutters that are made or sharpened or fixed up or whatever, and that's the way to do it. Here's a job. I'm looking at this the other day. Right, there's this box, which is all right. Some of it's high-speed steel like that, and that, and that. I'll make something close to this stuff. Some of it's carbide, like that. And some of it's some chrome moly, crazy, impossible to grind steel. And some of it's like brand new. Like this. And I actually made a cutter out of that, and I'll reuse that when I need it, but that was a cutter for something, no idea. And some of it's tool steel of some description. Some of it's really had a hiding. And a lot of it's all reusable if you've got a tool and cutter grinder. So if you want to spend kind of an hour, if you haven't got a cutter, you can sit down and you can make something that'll work without a lot of thinking and a bit of practice and a bit of messing around. Really enjoy doing that. It's sort of zen. There's a collet. There you go. Don't know why that's in there. I'm sure everyone else is the same, but this is what I was going to look at. That one, the big one with the funny shape on it, I ground it for something. I got no idea what. Hey, Adam. Anyway, there's this, right? I probably showed this on live stream before. This is a real pity. It's a solid carbide bar. There's some bright spark has snapped. Like that. Now, I'm thinking I should probably chuck this up and grind a taper on it a bit, and an internal taper or something like that, or put an internal taper in this one somehow, and a taper in this one, or cut them off at an angle and put and set them up and silver solder it together. And it might end up being a little bit shorter because it's got a chip in it, but probably it's still a pretty usable boring bar. Whether I get another piece of carbide, something like that, and grind the end and fit this to it. I'm not sure really, but it's something that wants fixing. So it's a bit of a pity, really. But it's too good to throw out. That's the trouble. And I've got boxes and things like that in boxes that really I just need to spend half a day messing around and getting it right. Very good tool, but it hasn't ever happened. Oh, there's still hope then. I'm glad of that, Bill. That's awesome. So anyway, don't chuck this stuff out. And chuck that out, because that's not much good for anything, to be honest. Not sure I am keeping that, but anyway. And if you buy a box of this, or someone gives you a box, or you... Look at that, that's solid carbide, that's worth a fortune. Made a cutter for something out of it. Jeez Louise, okay. The thing is, if you do happen to happen on a box of stuff like this, go through it first before you... That's high-speed steel. Because there was 2 or 3 cutters come out of this that were pretty good. Not much wrong with them. They could have done with a bit of a sharpen maybe, but they still had a bit of life left in them. And that's pretty much munted. And most of the stuff in here is. They're all busted, but there's occasionally you find good stuff as well. So it's kind of worth having a go if you look through it, because So, lots of cool stuff. But that's my scrap carbide and high-speed steel box. New blanks and stuff with scrap carbide mostly. 624 Dudley, good to see you. What else? I've been messing with this little locomotive. It's red. I'm not sure if I like that or not. It's all right, I think. Lever on here for forward and reverse control. I'm not sure I like that either. It doesn't fit out the door, so I'm going to have to make it a bit shorter. And probably we can still forward and reverse control it there. This one here, I'm going to put a little angle bracket on here, or angle lever. Just on here. To pull this with a wire. Like that. Maybe. And then just have a post out the roof so that you can pull it up to start it, and you can just tap the top to stop it, which I think is probably a good thing. So that's a work in progress too. The cab start and the handrails look good. I'm really pleased with them. They're 3D printed and a bit of wire in between. It's slowly coming together. It's got the roof on it. The name pang, I think we saw that. And hopefully put that over there where you can see it. Hopefully this will sort of be accessible through the doorway. Dan, we'll think about it. We'll see how we're going. A bit early, sorry Dudley. This is something else I'm engaged in as we speak. Coffee. I've got a cup of tea. If I drink coffee, I'll be up all night. Probably. It probably won't either. I'm feeling a bit like I could do with the sleep. Hey, Raymond. I've got this nice P&N, Australian-made P&N box. I've got a couple of these. This is one of them. It's a big one. Here's another one, which is a little one. Right. Now they've got this really nice gold leaf and red, carmine red and black 3-colour decal on here, which I think is probably water slide. It might be just a sticker. Anyway, they might actually just be put on wet in the shellac, to be honest. Or they could be stuck on and then shellacked over. I don't know how that works. But or varnished over. And there's one on the front, one on the inside. Same sticker. exactly. This one here's got one on the front, which is a bit bigger, and the small one on the inside. I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't. Oops, crap. Yeah, small one on the inside. Now, these are pine. I reckon they're hoop pine or something like that. They were a cheap way of making boxes back in the day, I guess, and that's why they ended up. But this is like straight sawn. It's not quarter sawn timber, and you end up with this problem. It's recurring. To a lesser extent, this one's got the same. Not so bad, but they weren't made out of quality timber, really. This one still shuts. I ended up putting the screws back in these hinges because there was a couple missing, and when I do, I find that this won't shut. So what I'd really like to do, if someone's got steam bending capability, is get this straightened out a bit and then run it through a thicknesser and take a fraction off it. Revarnish it and put new stickers on it. It'd be really nice, and I'd do the same with the other half too. Just finish it up, put all the hardware back on it, and give it a restoration job. And if it turned out any good, I might do this one as well. This is OK5, I think that's a Whitworth set. This is a BA3, which is a BA set. It's a big BA set. Or the medium BA set. I think there might have been a bigger one too, but Craig says it won't stay straight. I would say that it took 30 years to get like this. This box would have belonged to my grandfather, and he would have bought it. He sold it sometime after the Second World War, but I don't know, it might be 60s, 70s. And it's had this bend in it since it lived in Dad's shed anyway. So maybe it was something that happened, and maybe it won't stay straight, and that's very true. But more likely it's because it's varnished on one side and not the other side. That's more likely why it's put a curve in it. That's what I'm thinking. So the reason is that it's got varnish on the outside and not on the inside, and it's got moisture on the inside and it's buckled up. So, don't know. Anyway, this is a nice set. Probably eventually grab all the taps and things. I've probably got most of them here. And button dies are pretty handy. There's a big tap wrench. I don't know what was in that set anyway. If you're going to resurface it, if you could get the stickers again and you're going to resurface it, probably it'd be all right. It'd be nice to laminate another board on top of it and then dress it back to thickness. I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. But if you take this down to size, it's only going to be, honestly, it's only going to be 1/4 inch thick. So reluctant to do that. But what it probably could do, see if you plane this down, this hole's going to be right through. But, don't know, maybe you could just get another piece of pine and make a new lid for it. Sort of wondering about that. And it's probably all right as it is, but it's a bit of a nuisance not being able to shut it. Yeah, I saw it, Craig. I did see it. I'm just making conversation now. You're right, probably, and you have reasons for saying that, and I'm not saying you're not right, but if you're playing it down, it's never going to be any good, really, the answer. Bill says it's probably easier to do one. get a nice piece of pine. But yeah, we'll see about that. I collect anything. There you go, James. Collect anything. What else? Let's shift some of this stuff. Put this away. These are all projects that we're working on. There's a little bit of progress on the gear cut and attachment. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. Got some steel to make some more bits. Got to buy some hardware. We've got this little fan. Take care, Mike. Take care, Craig. Got this little fan. It's got a casing on it. And I want to make a live steam blower for my locomotive when it's done. And I've been guarding this, been in a corner at home in Tasmania for like 25 years. But I actually got the fan off the rotor, which is a big permanent magnet, yesterday when I had nothing else to do. So this is a nice lightweight fan, and probably I'll just put it on another DC motor, 12 volt motor, and run on a battery charger or something, and use it that way. Power supply that plugs in, something like that. I don't know. But this is the motor that was on it, which I don't know. It's out of a vending machine. What have we got? That's the circuit board. Just, I'm going to show Adam anyway because he was having a look at it the other day. It's got some cute old-fashioned resistors. It's got a diode, and it's got two capacitors, Mark C1 and C2, and it's got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 resistors. And it's got a couple of circuits. On that side, and on this side it's got, I don't know, it's got a resistor. Looks like that's about all. There's E2, that could be a capacitor, and a few other little surface mount components. And it's got 6 coils in there. And this permanent magnet goes in there. Now you would assume that that's some sort of speed controller, yeah, but I haven't got a clue what it does or how it works or what it is. Anyway, not going to even wire it up. It's got 4 wires coming out of it. I'm just going to get a decent motor, and I'll use this plate which actually fits the fan, and probably drill it and put another aluminium plate and a decent motor in it and mount this to the motor and say that's going to do it. But anyway, it's just a curiosity. Not even sure it needs mounting in bearings, to be honest. I'm sort of thinking, yeah, maybe we could, but I reckon if you had a motor with a couple of bearings in it, it'd be good enough. There's not a lot of weight in that. I mean, it's only aluminium. Anyway, another project I'm just kicking around with. Very small hamsters, that's right. What else? Lathe dirty. There's about a kilogram of brass there. No, there's a lot of brass swarf over there at the moment. Just pick up a heater fan out of a car. Well, that's probably a good idea too. But I've got this. Got about 10 of these to make. That's a foot peg extender for a Harley Davidson Sportster. That's something that we've got to get onto. Yeah, this is a nice little fan, and I would really like to sort of, it's got a decent, nice route on it. I reckon it'd be pretty good. I just put 12-volt motor on it and we're done. I really want something portable, something you can raise steam away from too many power points and things, I think. What else? What else? I don't know. I've got nothing to say. Not very much happening. Really enjoyed, man. Who else has been looking at videos online and said, hey, this is an awesome series, or this is something you need to check out? Give it a shout out. If it's yours, even better. Max's videos are excellent, actually. All his stuff is good. Maddie's got a new one out. I'm going to have to go and check that out tonight. Sports person. Yes, the skirt story. I'll have to remember that. Yeah, very good video from Stefan this last week. Really enjoyed that. Actually, I really struggled through it. I watched it, and then I watched it again because I may not have fallen asleep at some point towards the end of it, and then I ended up watching it again. But it's a fairly dry subject, but there's a lot to be learnt. It's fairly interesting. You could 3D print the transition print. There's a 3D print that I'm working on too at the moment. I might stick that up on my other channel. It's just something I'm printing while I've out of offcuts and remnants and things, or bits of thread stuff left over. So it might go on my Procrastination Nation channel. I'm going to have to check Winky's workshop now. That sounds all right. What else have I watched lately? Let's have a look at YouTube on the other device. Gosh, I watched some dribble. Myther Boy's got building a replica mark on a steam engine. It's come up really nice. Messing around with nickel plating, and that's a really nice job. That looks really apart. There's one from Chirpy. Good video from Chirpy on forging some screwdrivers and bits and pieces. You should always go and check them out. Lots to learn there. And there's a lot of videos. I can't show you my playlist because there's a lot of videos in the secret project, which we're not looking at. Mystery projects. It's not a secret. It's just a mystery. A lot of steam engine restoration videos. A lot of content that's really not of any consequence that you really would be embarrassed to show anyone. David Bellani. That's the name I was looking for. He's not in today. It's a donut press. Yeah, it might be too yet. David Bellani from Spain. He's got some pretty awesome stuff. If you're interested in model steam engines and things, toys and so forth and so on, you should check out his channel and subscribe to him. Anyway, he might upload some more stuff. It's pretty cool. Big shout out for him. He's got a very relaxing voice, that's right. Double Voos did a good video on Miners Land. Yeah, I really enjoyed that too. Raymond Martin actually shared a link to a gimbal barbecue, which I'm not sure is particularly good because just looking at it, I'm not sure the meat in the middle actually gets cooked. I'm a bit concerned about that. It looks good, but it might only be a prototype one, I think. Anyway, that's just my views on that. But it's not a gimbal barbecue, we can say that at this point. More sauce, yeah. So everyone sort of guessed gimbal, and that's a small part of the machine. But yeah, it probably will end up like a gimbal. Well, that's pretty sort of. That's pretty self-apparent at this point, I think. But we can. Doesn't involve a pen at this point, no. It involves 3 circles of brass at this point. That's all I got. Anyway, so that's what's happening. Did manage to score a bit of plate for a welding table, but haven't got it home yet. So when that comes, it may be yet, Adam. When that comes, I'm probably going to clean it up and drill some holes in it and tap them and spend some time fitting it up to the welding bench. But it hasn't arrived yet. And the Earth's not donut shape, it's flat. Everyone knows that because of all the real estate outside the ice wall that no one wants you to know about. And they keep bringing the ice wall in, so real estate goes up, and that's how they're funding this whole thing. We know this to be true. don't know what else. I've got a modification to the, or an improvement to the 3-cutting attachment. While this is off. This is the gear that goes on the spindle, right, with a set screw, etc, etc, etc. It's not just a grub screw. Yeah, it's like a special screw which actually goes in a hole in the spindle, which is there for exactly this purpose. But what this needs on the back of it, right, is a key. I think it needs a key in here, somehow permanently mounted in, and it needs a crank that goes on it, so, or a hand wheel, probably a hand wheel on the outside, something like about this diameter, like 220 mil diameter hand wheel with a crank on it, like a sewing machine wheel, so that when you're cutting threads by hand, you can turn the lathe over manually. And that needs to be fairly quick release, so all it wants is to go on a key, maybe with a set screw or with a, I don't know, open for ideas on that, but that's what it wants, I think. That should be good. You'll have to watch the video, Stuart. Anyway, not sure how to really achieve that. Maybe if I would just milled a groove in here and put a bit of key steel in there with a couple of little screws, and then don't know, even a crank handle would be kind of handy on it, just a single crank, but something a bit balanced would be good, like a don't know. Haven't got a wheel. If anyone knows where there is one, something about 200. See, these are available. This is a McJing wheel, which is kind of all right. These are cheap. And probably that'd fit on there. But it's a bit heavy. Something about that diameter and about half the weight would be fantastic. I just sort of feel like that at the end of the spindle is probably a bit crazy. It's not going to be there when the lathe's running, but just feels a bit sort of... Now you're making stuff up. Stuart and Adam and James and Paul. Yeah, you're all making stuff up. There's no such thing. And don't know, but ideally I want a hand wheel that size with a handle on it, something like that, but about half that weight. Probably if I just machined the middle out of this and put on there, it would probably be all right. But it's still, it's cast iron, it's pretty solid. An aluminium one would probably be all right. Across the Discord and subscribe and join up and all that sort of stuff, and join in and have a bit of a search back through and find it. And then you might know. But No. You have a Pepsi. Or a Snickers. The weight will add inertia and balance, but we're only threading like pretty fine stuff. The last really fine thread I did was 1/16 rod and 62 TPI, which is not a huge big thread. Most stuff I do is smaller than 1/4 inch that I would do by hand. Anything else I'd probably just use the motor. So doesn't need a whole lot of inertia really. But it wants to be something that comes off fairly easily too. So you can just put it aside and don't have to leave it running. Stuart, we could tell. Yeah, it's not rocket science. We're right there with you. It's M3 tap. We might put that away. So put them out there. I wonder where the box off the M3 tap is. That'd be interesting. And did you just stop at one bowl, or are you calling ice cream tubs bowls nowadays? Is that the point in the economic structure of the nation that we've reduced to? These around here. I made these little levers, 3D printed, and they're quite nice actually. And I was going to operate the reverse and the brake on the loco with these. But they look a bit ugly to put them, so at this point. We don't get dizzy, do we, Stuart? It's not making anyone dizzy. It's terrible actually. I need something. Tried several things over the years, none of them really work, so I'm still the jury's out on that. Anyone who ever works out a good solution, let me know. Especially for this tablet. Been using these little chucks a bit. I might just wait with Carstad. That's awesome. iRobot. That's the answer. Here we go. Look at the mess. Oh, look at that. We've got the angle happening here. These little chucks are awesome. This is really nice. This is a bezel chuck. I'm sure you're all down with these. Yeah, I've got a trolley with a pole on it, and it seemed like a really good idea, but you've got to get the trolley. It hasn't happened yet. It's a bezel chuck, which you tighten up with 2 rods in these 2 holes, right? I'm sure you know all about these, and respected engineers and so forth. I think the 2 pins are over on there on the mill. The trouble is that you need 4 pins. You need 2 pins here and you need 2 pins over on the mill, because this fits the dividing head and everything else. So it's pretty useful to have a chuck that you can take out of the lathe and stick back on the dividing head repeatedly and do the job there, and then bring it back to the lathe without taking it out of the job. So it's awesome, really awesome. But this little bezel, this is a Sherline Chuck, which is really nice gear actually. I've got 2 of them. I've got a 3-jaw and a 4-jaw. I'd very much like another 3-jaw one day, but I don't know if it's going to happen, because turning the jaws around in these is a bit of a mission, to be honest, because the jaws aren't numbered. You've got to look at the teeth and see which one goes in first, and the slots are numbered, so you've got to sort of check it before you do anything up in it and discover that you've got a tooth out, or you've got one back to front or something like that. But this is Sherline Chuck, and they're pretty nice actually. There's no problems at all with that, like finishing that big brass rod or parting it off or anything else. These are pretty good chucks. You could buy Swiss chucks fairly expensively, but these, fraction of the price, are really nice. Just because they're behind the scenes, those porn films, that they're not actually documentaries, just so you know. I had to point that out from a position of yeah, higher knowledge. This has got a taper in it for the this spindle actually hasn't got a pin in here to stop this turning, which is a bit of a pain. I've done it once and it wasn't good enough, and I need to do it again, which means next time I take this spindle apart, which is somewhere in between now and never, I'm going to tap that pin through and make a decent hard pin to go in it. I meant to do it when I did the dividing head, because that seems to work really well, but I haven't got a clue what I use now. But the one I used was 01 and it was hardened and tempered, and it just snapped straight off, so that wasn't the answer. But these are got taper on them to match the collet and the keyway and everything else, so they're repeatable, and I really like these homemade spindles. This is just a guard to go over the threads here. I thought this was all common sense stuff, but apparently it's not. Anyway, these are different jaws are available for these chucks, so if anyone's feeling generous, no, at some point I'd like to buy a set of pan jaws, and maybe I'm just going to do that and make a set of buy a set of ring jaws and a set of disc jaws for these, rather than mess around and try and get those collets right. I don't know. I'm still thinking about the collets, but I've been thinking about it for 5 years, so nothing's changed. So there we go. But these are good little chucks. My Hare and Forbes chuck's all right, and it's not a bad chuck. However, there's gaps in its holding capacity, which is a real pain in that. It's a real pain in the butt, to be honest. Probably need to clean this, because last time it went on it got stuck, so I'm not going to put it on tight. With the jaws on the outside, it's really not much use, because if you put something down here in these jaws, they're not holding on by much, so it can't stick out too much. And if it doesn't stick out too much, then it touches on the outside jaws here. And that's right in. So in this outside jaw, that's the smallest you can sort of fit. Now, in an ideal world, if you put a ring in that size and gripped it on the outside, then probably you should be able to turn them around and grip them on the inside of the other jaws as well. But you can't, because the other jaws, by the time they get out to this point, they're out of the scroll. So you've got this gap where you can't hold anything between this diameter and probably about that diameter particularly effectively in this chuck, because the length of the scroll is more than the gap between the steps. So if you move this jaw out to where this does the same job as this, it's already out of the scroll. And if you move this out to where it's going to hold about the maximum, and then you want to machine the end of something down and then turn it round, when you screw it back in, there's no way you can hold it. Does that make any sense at all? It probably does. So from that point of view, this chuck's fairly poorly designed, I think. An extra step in the teeth, an extra step in the middle of these jaws would have been a much better thing if this had 3 steps rather than the 2 steps. Then you might have been able to hold a bigger range of materials in here, but there's gaps in this, and you can mess around with it and then turn the tip, put the other jaws in, and then work out. It still doesn't work, and then you put the other chuck on. So I've got a small 4-jaw. I've got one of these in a 4-jaw, which is pretty nice. So I've got this one. This is a really nice 4-jaw too. It's precise and accurate and quick and easy to set up. Just takes an Allen key. It's precise, it's nice and parallel. There's no wear in it. It's brand new chuck. They're not cheap, but this is Sherline as well. Pretty good stuff. So I've got that one. And I've got an 8-inch 4-jaw as well to go on here. And to be honest, that's probably the best chuck. That's a Bernard. Tea and Biscuits asked about the wear in this machine. This doesn't move backwards and forwards as such, right? Without unclamping it and moving it physically. So there's no actual movement along the bed. So the beauty of this style of machine is that there's no actual wear on the bed, because this needs some oil. Got cleaned last weekend. Because this is clamped static on the bed in various positions. And that's a pretty awesome thing. Try to clean a rag. I'll move this out so you can actually see. So this is pretty nice through here, and I've actually put a new screw in this in the last 3 or 4 years. The old one was completely stuffed, so this has got a brand new trapezoidal metric lead screw in it. But if you have a look, scrape marks. So not a lot of wear in this slide. I think you can see that if we move this one right out. there are still scrape marks in there. You've got to sort of catch the light to get the rest of them, but they are there. It could do with another go over probably at some point if you're really feeling like you know, some religious discipline was something you needed in your life. It might be better than singing in the choir at church or something like that. You know, it might be better for your soul and just as demeaning. This one's pretty nice too. Could do with some oil there by the sound of that and that back bearing. Brass shavings here everywhere. And same deal, there's scrape marks here everywhere. And I rebuilt this, I don't know, there's probably videos about it somewhere. I rebuilt this compound fairly recently. Because some idiot, this is pretty poor, sorry guys, some idiot here had machined this off at some point in its past to put a taller tool post on, which is sort of a good idea, but it's also kind of wrecked it because all these oil holes and things are exposed. So what I've done is blocked up some of these holes. You see that. You've got me on the lathe now, so I'm good for another 25 minutes, half hour, sorry. But block these off and run a bit of like Devcon liquid metal or whatever in there. So these are all blocked. And this was where the original tool post was, and I've got rid of that as well and blocked that up. I've actually drilled an oil hole, so there's actual like nipple oiler there on that side. So you just oil it, and that oils the screw through the bottom here into the lead screw. The lead screw is all covered up, so the nut's got a slot in the top of it, and this plate here actually runs through the slot backwards and forwards, so they can't actually get any dust in under there, which is really nice. And I machined this out and put a plate in here with a heap of screws and put it together with some JB Weld or whatever, and that's sort of toughened that up too. And from that point, this bolt here, this bolt is actually down through this steel plate that's on top of here. So that's cleaned that up nicely. So a lot of work. Hey Scott, hey Tara. There's I saw a memory posted on Facebook, Scott, back in like 2013 or something. No, not that old. Yeah, a couple of years ago anyway, and Tara was so cute back then. So this has had pretty extensive work. This saddle isn't as old as the old machine, right? This is a modern one. If we have a look here, it's got like modern hand wheels and everything on it. So this is 1960s, I would say. Something like that, late 60s. And this is pretty nice. The original one that was on it wasn't launched when I bought it. I've got 3 or 4 of these slides kicking around. I've got a couple of American ones. I've got they could all do with a rebuild. So if anyone wants a scraping job, I've got an Atmos, I've got an Amos, and I've got a one that's not branded, and I think I've got a one that is Lort Schmidt that's like 100 years old. So this is Lorch, and it's actually got Lorch written on it in places. And this is pretty nice. So there's no wear in this. So to answer your question, Tea and Biscuits, there's very little wear here. This is repeatable with this tool post, which is amazing. Like, we're going to go there. This tool post is amazing. Could do with a clean out. And these slides, this lathe is pretty well repeatable to like 2/10, something like that. So if you swap the tool out, parts up and off, put the tool back in, and set your dials at the same spot you were, you're pretty sure you're spot on, like bang on. Are there wipers on here? No, there's not. There's nowhere for the dirt to go. No one uses this one out past the end there, for this to come right out, so that the actual hole's exposed. It's a heck of a lot bigger than the swing of the lathe. So mostly it's all covered up. That's where we're at, I guess. These gibs in here could do with a bit of a tighten up too, but it hasn't happened. But this is a pretty good slide, and I'm pretty happy with this, and it's all very repeatable and very nice. Headstock's got headstock's really nice, actually. When I did the headstock, I was going to have a look. I thought there was. Don't know what happened to that. I don't think I threw it out, but it was kicking around here. I don't know. I saw it here the other day. When I did this headstock up, this back bearing was just a pipe fitting, basically. It was pretty ugly. And it had screw-down greases on here, and someone filled them up with grease, and it's pretty ugly. And this steel bearing was immaculate, as you would expect, steel on steel. Never going to be a problem there. Everything was rusty. This was pretty ugly. And this is the genuine pulley. This has got an index plate in it, and the index pin off the back was missing, so I made that up. And there wasn't a matching pulley as such, so I've sort of made something up, and that's not the final version of that. One day that might happen. So the preload bushes here. This is pretty crap. You can't see here. Hang on. We're going to try another sort of angle here, maybe. Let's try this. Sorry, guys. Sorry, not sorry. There we go. It might be better or it might not. Yeah, there we go. Take care, Scott. Good to see you. So this bush, Engineering Works made a new bearing for this to match the headstock, and I think he must have never lost his job because he probably spent 3 days on it, and he didn't charge me a whole lot. But anyway, it's a nice job. And we'll put these two nuts back on. These preload, a friend made 2 preload bushes for here because the old ones were just stuffed. Yeah, I thought that was it, but no, that's the actual thread templates for the preload bushes. So there's a new one of them, and this is the original preload bearing half. And then this half here, the bearings run straight on the casting, which is okay, except it's really worn. So this had a thrust bearing in it, and the thrust bearing was getting noisy to the point that it was just rumbly and a bit awful, and we were getting a lot of this, and really wasn't impressed with it a couple of years back, last year, 12, 18 months ago. We pulled this out and we looked for a new bearing, and we couldn't get anything with the same ball spacing so that it would run in the same grooves, which is a bit of a problem. And rather than mess around and try and line ball this and set it up and machine this surface again, and then you lose a bit of space on the thread and all that sort of stuff, and you've got to make a new piece for this, and you've got to harden them up, and then you worry about them wearing out and all that stuff. I actually made a new cage, found some new balls the same diameter and made a cage out of engineering plastic with as many balls as we could possibly fit on the same diameter, and just set that with a dividing head and machined it up. And put that together with grease with the row of balls around it, and it seems to be fantastic. So Paul says you have a hard time cutting screws on it. Well, we teach you a thing or two about cutting screws too, without being rude. So this is the thread cutting attachment and runs across to here. We're still working on this. This is a work in progress. It's up and running, but yeah, Paul, that's how you do that. Take care, Russ Knox. Good to see ya. So this has been a work in progress for some time, and there hasn't been a lot of videos about it or anything, but we're getting there. It's actually in bits at the moment because we're making new bits for it, but it's got a banjo on here, and this is pretty nice. It's got reversible tumbler gears, and it drives off. I'll put this out of the way. None of this is tight. Might have a burr on there. It's not good. But that drives on there, which through your tumblers, and then we've got a set of change gears, and that comes out here. I'm just making the quick release bit here, and this has got a throw out clutch on this end. So you can basically use it for power feed, and this compound here will pop the clutch out. So this is a work in progress. It's a fairly big job, and it's taken a fair bit of time to get it this far, but it still needs a guard. It needs quite a bit of work on it, but we are getting there. So for some reason that's got a burr on it. I don't like that much. There is actually there. Don't know what that was. I got a stuck chuck on here. It was my stupid mistake, so I think I may have done that. So we'll fix that. Which is why this is off. So this is all like on cams here. So this is all adjustable up and down. This has got an eccentric bush in here, so you can move the bush around a quarter of a turn. It's got a row of holes around the outside. You move it a quarter of a turn to adjust your spacing here. And then this one here is on a sliding plate, so that adjusts your gear mesh on here. And then one of these slides backwards and forwards, so that changes these between here, and that runs on here. There's a banjo, it's got oil fitting in there, and then there's a banjo that goes down here with a bolt in here, with 2 slides on it. And instead of change gears, this all tightens up on that T-slot on the back, which is factory, with just a crank handle, match all the other crank handles. So this lever tightens that down on a cam. This has got an eccentric cam in here, which tightens this bolt up and down. So it's just slip on and slip off. Still got to make a box for it, but bit of nutting out over a few years to get to that point. And some ideas are Chauvelin, some ideas are Lorch, but strawberry jam. Look, belt grip is a compromise. If you're using belt grip, then you've got other issues. And yes, I have other issues. It's called COVID at the moment. The issue is that I can't get belts for this thing anywhere in Australia, and the ones. Take care, Kevin. Good to see you. The ones that I've used up till now need to be. What's happened here? Sorry, guys. They're going to make you all car sick. Sorry. There we go. Tend to have come from the UK. This is nice belt. This is beautiful rubber and canvas. Nice belt. But I had to put a short bit in here and shorten it up because it's starting to stretch a bit. And this is all right, but it's not really particularly satisfactory, to be honest. So probably it's got a double click in it. Probably I need a new belt, and that's most of the problem here. I could shorten this up a little bit more, one end with the other, and that would fix it, but this is way too loose, and that's why we're using belt grip. So if you need belt grip, tighten your belts up. But having said that, you could probably add it to idler tension and put it in there. It's really not, it's a bit of a nuisance. It's fixed, and the belt, the 3 pulleys are in the same relationship, so it's just a matter of basically retention in the belt, and it's got alligators in it, so they're easy to do. It's not, look, it's a 10-minute job I need to do at some point next weekend. So there you go. You started me on the lathe, and you should, tighten your belt, your legs will go to sleep. Yeah. Yeah, the milling machine's a no-go, but you start me on this lathe, I can talk for hours about this machine. It's a fairly interesting bit of gear, and it's kind of a bit passionate about this. We haven't even started on the top end here. Sorry guys. Here, what have we got? Jeez Louise, okay. There we go. What's the story? We haven't even started on the overhead. So anyway. There's 1,000 things that need attention up here at the moment. Stewie found me. He's an awesome guy, really. We give him a hard time, but he's an awesome guy. He found me some foot pedals that are probably going to operate this somehow at some point. Don't take that off there because it's not tight. It's a bit dangerous. The chuck, I mean. This is going to be we're going to have some sort of back gear in this pulley eventually. This system of changing belts here, which is awesome and quick, responsive, very, very good stopping and starting and reversing and stuff. Going to put a set of foot pedals down here to pop that out forward and backwards so that probably with some sort of interlock. Anyway, I'm thinking about that. Anyway, take care, Paul. Good to see you. I clamped that light column up there and it's no good. I'm going to have to get a couple of decent like U-bolts to clamp that on there. Do a decent job of it. I might even make like a decent plate and weld on there in the next little while with 4 holes in it so that can actually just bolt that on nice and solid, because at the moment it's pretty ordinary. And anyway, I'm not even sure if I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, it needs a nice little, like 4 or 5 horsepower vertical engine and boiler over here in the corner. Not going to happen. Sorry, guys. It'd be very nice, and if I owned my own spot, it probably would happen. It's sort of a spare drive, but at this point it hasn't, and it won't. All that stuff's getting really cost prohibitive at the moment, or it's going to keep getting that way. So if you've got a dream project like that you really want to do, and you're thinking, gosh, things are dear, I'm going to wait until they sort of settle down a bit, or wait until I retire, or wait until I've got more money, it's never going to happen. Just go and buy it now and stick it in the shed and make a little bit of progress on it. All you guys who've got dream projects in your sheds, you've done the right thing. There you go. Anyway, I should call this. It's an hour and a half. I'm sorry. I got started on lathe bits, and that generally gets me warmed up for the night. Anyway, might call it a night. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. New video up probably again this weekend, I hope. And more soon. I usually say I'll be on Discord and Facebook and stuff for a bit, but probably tonight I won't be because I'm just going to bed. I've had enough. I'm out, and more soon. Yep. Yes, Adam.